I've got the one from October 17th on there, but we're in my deleted file.
Good evening. It is Monday. It's November 7th, 2011, and I will call this meeting of the Norfolk City Council to order. This is an open meeting, and posted in the northwest corner of this actual room is the Open Meeting Act, made accessible to all members of the public for their own reading. I'd ask you to join with us for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll continue with roll call.
Coy?
Here.
Lange?
Here.
Merrill?
Here.
Clausen?
Here.
Murin? Brenneman?
Here.
Faust?
Here.
Saunders?
Here. All right, and under action, I would ask for approval of the consent agenda that was provided you with the deletion of item number 17, complete deletion.
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
A motion with a second to approve the consent agenda with the deletion of item number 17 from that agenda. If you will please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
And next would be approval of the full agenda as presented to you in your packet. Again, a motion for approval.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion with a second to approve the full agenda. Again, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
Okay, and under special presentations, I'm looking for a recreation update first.
I'll give it this evening.
Okay.
We're making progress. We've completed the pouring of the concrete on the parking lot on the south side of the Armory today. So there's a little bit of sidewalk to be done over there, and that project should be completed. They've poured the footings and the backstop wall at the baseball stadium. Those footings should be ready for backfill later this week. And then they have to pour some additional pads for the baseball bleachers. Over on the pool, we're continuing to work on the bathhouse, locker room, and that facility. They put up some of the concrete sandwich wall sections today. They started, they got the north wall of the men's locker room up today. So that just started today, and I think they'll continue working on that here as we go. The framing for the mechanical building was installed today. It's a post and frame building, so they've got that up, and we'll be continuing to work on that. The mechanical guy says he needs that building here sometime in the next month or so to be able to be done in the spring. Hopefully the weather holds and we can get some more concrete floors poured this week. There's 2 more that are ready to go, and then that will leave 2 left. They've got a 3rd one that if they get to pour concrete tomorrow, they'll sneak in on Thursday, I think. So, but we continue to make progress, and we'll keep moving forward. I answer any questions you might have.
Any chance the video board will be in for Tuesday's game?
I don't think so. No.
That's one thing I haven't been too involved in was the video board or the new upgrade. So.
Okay, any other questions at all, council? All right. If not, we'll move on to a special presentation on the 2011 snow and ice plan. Looks like Mr. Miller is going to come forward and present.
Good evening. I asked Mr. Cook if he wanted to do it, and he said no. So you get me instead. So sorry.
You want to reconsider, Jim?
Unless you
Okay.
guys force him up here, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, the snow and ice plan is very similar to the way it has been in the last several years. The town's divided up. The routes are pretty well set. There's a map out there, so if the elected officials or the public or anybody needs to know where they're at on the map and which area they're in, we've got that all divided up. We're glad to share those maps with anybody that wants them, elected officials or the public. We rotate their areas so that they are moved through the cycle, whether they're first on the plow list or second on the plow list or at the end of the plow list by storm, so that everybody gets a chance to have their residential area plowed at a different time. So there really is no change. There has been not a change for several years. One of the things that we do want to talk about is we hear a lot of discussion as how to notify the public. We've got about 7 ways where the public has the ability to get information about a snow emergency. One of the things that we try to do is declare that as quickly as we can, perhaps the day before. The crews go out about 2 o'clock at night, so generally we know in advance when the snow emergency is going to happen, unless, of course, it blows in overnight, and then, it'll be a surprise for all of us. A couple things. We've started a new system now where folks, one of the new things is to receive text messages. We've got a new system in place that the public can sign up for text messaging, so that when we declare a snow emergency, their cell phone will receive a text message saying a snow emergency has been declared in the city of Norfolk. They can also follow us on Facebook. They can also follow us on Twitter, and of course on our city website. We also, of course, notify the cable television, all the radio stations, and the newspaper. So amongst those 7 methods of communication, we hope that the public can follow us and we can follow them and get them notified as quickly as possible. I provided to the media tonight those 7 methods, as well as the exact method to sign up for text messaging, so we can get those out to the public. And we're hoping that we get some nice press coverage and maybe a newspaper article about those. And if anybody has any further questions about how to sign up, it'll be on our website, so they can also go there and learn about it too. So with that, if there's any other questions, myself, Jim Cook is here. We'll be glad to talk about it.
Carrie, the plan is available on the city website.
Mhm.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Gary, what snow opera are we starting with this year?
3.
3? Thanks.
So everybody can go look, check the map out, and see if they're first or last or wherever. Maybe we won't have one. I talked to one of the old guys, 34 years. He's had to not plow snow 1 time in 34 years. Maybe this will be the 2nd time in 35 years then.
So one final question. You talked about being able to sign up for the new text messaging.
Yep.
That, I think, Jim, you had mentioned to me today that the police department needs to, you have a meeting with them tomorrow or something? But as far as you know, it's all set up, ready to go, and sign up tomorrow?
You can sign up today if you want.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
You bet.
All right. If no other questions then, we'll move on to a proclamation before us tonight, which is the Read Aloud to a Child Month. Whereas literacy is a fundamental building block of all learning and is essential to the growth and the success of every child in our city. And whereas reading to children enlarges their vocabulary and enhances their listening skills, thereby fostering intellectual growth and a more positive attitude toward reading. And whereas reading to a child is a simple and priceless act that benefits both adult and child, positively contributing to family literacy and strengthening the bond between parent and child. And whereas when parents assume the responsibility for children's literacy, making a commitment to reading for 20 minutes a day, children become more healthy, resilient, and inquisitive. And whereas Read Aloud to your child for 20 minutes a day is a nationally recognized program that has been in existence for more than 20 years. And whereas Read Aloud Norfolk, the Norfolk Public Library, Norfolk area schools, and other organizations representing parents, teachers, librarians, and concerned citizens advocate for reading aloud to children because it fosters healthy interaction between adults and children. And whereas reading aloud to children will enhance family literacy and the well-being of young people throughout our city. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Sue Fookman, Mayor of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, by the power vested in me, do hereby proclaim November 2011 as Read Aloud to a Child Month in the City of Norfolk and the surrounding area, and encourage all parents, teachers, librarians, and other caring adults to read aloud to a child. I see some of those in the audience that would like to come forward. And
Your Honor, we have Jody McQuillan, who's the media specialist at the senior high, and some members of the senior high book club here today.
great.
Okay.
Introduce yourself as you go up. Thank you. This is something that is very important to not only librarians, but I think to our future generations. Our book club is a little different than many. We have chosen to spend most of our time in trying to support reading in all ways. And we actually did one of our read alouds last week on Friday to Bel Air School. So we had 26 students that went to read to all their classrooms. So it's something that is absolutely of utmost importance to helping to create good readers and good citizens. So we're really happy to be here, be
Well,
part
we're glad
of
to
it.
have you here, and I think the other important piece of that is the example that is set by you as older, still students, but yet older to those kids in the grade school. You see what it is and what it means to you, so I compliment you on your efforts there. And thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you
So-
very much.
You bet. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
You bet. And you were, Jasmine? Why don't you tell them, Jack?
I'm sorry, please come up and tell your name.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Jimenez, and I attend Norfolk High School.
Hi, my name is Daniela Martinez. And I'm Allie Figueroa.
Okay, Allie, we met before in the same council chambers, haven't we? Yeah. Nice to have you back. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Can we take a picture with that?
Sure, sure. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the regular agenda then. Consideration of approval to amend ordinance number 5185 to remove a 15-minute parking stall from in front of 113 South 2nd Street, currently listed in ordinance section 24-165.
Your Honor, I would introduce ordinance number 5185.
A motion with a second. Chief, you want to speak to that for us?
Yes, Your Honor, members of the council. The owner of CFMC Cleaning at 113 South 2nd Street has made this request to have that 15-minute parking stall removed. When he took over the business, or took over that location for his business, that stall was already there. It's been there for some time, and he's indicated that that's not really conducive to his business to have limited parking there. We've checked. There's no businesses on the south half of that block that really require or desire that 15-minute stall, and so our recommendation is that it be removed and allow it to fall under the normal parking.
Okay, appreciate that. Any questions or any other discussion, council? Hearing that recommendation then, I would look for a short title of that.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to amend Section 24-165.1 of the official city code to remove a 15-minute parking stall in front of the 113 South 2nd Street address, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, if you will please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5185 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I move that we suspend the rules and vote on ordinance 5185 on second and third.
Second.
Okay, you have a motion with a second to suspend second and third reading. If no further discussion, I would ask you to vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5185 carries on second and third readings.
Next would be consideration of ordinance number 5184 to enact Chapter 13, Article 12 of the Code to regulate the operation of horse-drawn carriages on public streets. Ordinance number 5184 did pass on first reading at the October 17, 2011 City Council meeting. Again, second reading.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to table consideration of ordinance 5184. I'd like to, thank you. I think we need a little bit more clarification. I'd also like to mention that doing so has no bearing on the event that's scheduled for the 26th of November, the lighting of the Christmas tree and all of that kind of thing. I think there's some question out in the city about that.
Okay.
I think not need to be introduced.
We need to introduce it before we can table it, right? I would make a motion to introduce ordinance number 5184 on second reading.
Okay. I have a motion with a second for the introduction where we have now the motion to table.
I would make a motion to table.
Okay. And we have...
I would like to have some discussion about the proposed amendment maybe at this time if that's appropriate.
We can't do it with it being tabled. However, I do believe there's going to be a subcommittee that's going to be called together on this. I think Councilman Merrill has explained that the upcoming event falls underneath not this ordinance, but rather the agreement that has been put in place of the Downtown Association responsible for that event. So we're in good standings there. So with that being said, a motion with a second to table. Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5184 is tabled.
Okay. And next, we're going to move on to consideration of ordinance number 5186, amending section 24-204 of the City Code to create an exception to parking prohibitions on residential streets related to snow and ice conditions. I'd ask for a motion for consideration.
Your Honor, I'd move consideration ordinance 5186.
Second.
Okay, a motion with a second. Clint, do you want to give us explanation on this?
The ordinance, if it were enacted, would merely, presently the city code says that once the street's cleaned in a residential area, we're not supposed to park on that cleaned street until the parking prohibition, the time for the parking prohibitions has expired. If this ordinance were adopted, what it would allow is that once the snow removal process has occurred on a particular street, even though the parking prohibition was in place before the snow was removed, once it's removed, you can park where they just cleaned it. So that's all that it would do.
So we're not waiting for the snow emergency to be cleared over?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And the purpose of this would be so that people could move to the other side of the street so when the plows come by, they're not in the way.
There's smart guys in the back that can talk about that. I was going to say no, so it's a good thing you said yes. Because I thought they'd they're going to be gone from that street once it's okay to park there, was my understanding.
Well, the thing about it is it depends if we can, in some years where we have heavy snowfall, if the folks are able to park on those cleared streets and our city trucks can go back, of course, because many times we go back the second, the third, and the fourth. They're trying to clean up neighborhoods where the parking is very tight. There's a lot of cars parked, and if they can move back there and our folks can get back there quicker and open up the streets, it's easier for them. So I think the answer is yes, even though Clint says he thinks it's no. I think we both answered the same way, just in different ways. But yes, I think it's to help try to get the people parking back normally and also to get the neighborhoods cleared.
So on the snow emergency, they would park on the even side of the street. And then when the odd side is cleared, they could move over there so that the even side could be cleaned.
Correct.
Which makes perfect sense.
We'll try it. We'll see.
Okay.
I hope so. I hope it's easier for the public. I hope we get streets cleared as quickly as we can. We'll try it.
Okay. Any other questions at all? If not, Beth, short title.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to amend Section 24-204 of the official city code to create an exception to parking prohibitions on residential streets related to snow and ice conditions, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
If you will please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5186 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I move we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5186 on second and third.
Second.
We have a motion with a second to suspend the rules and pass on second and third reading. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5186 carries on second and third.
I'm looking at item number 25 here, consideration of ordinance number 5187 to update the comprehensive fee schedule to include a fee of $75 for a horse-drawn carriage business license. I would ask for consideration of this.
Your Honor, if it's proper, I'd like to consider that we table this.
We need to introduce the ordinance first.
I'm sorry?
Introduce it
Oh,
first,
yes.
please.
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 5187.
Second.
All right, it has been introduced. Now if you want to go
And
forward.
I would suggest that we table this as well, to go along with the other ordinance previously mentioned.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table consideration of ordinance number 5187. If you will please vote.
All council persons voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5187 is tabled.
Okay, seeing nothing further then,
I make a motion we adjourn.
we are adjourned. Thank you. Councilman Faust. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight.